Hello, welcome to the Square Base Show with your host, Rob and Val. And in today's video, we're going to be asking ourselves, what the FAQ?
What? Where is it?
Where is any news? Because 2026 has been quite news heavy, but not old world news heavy. News. Where's my old world news, Val? I demand you tell me, please, sir.
I mean, I've just been like the old upside apologist on this topic. I just assumed that there was nothing in the preview because they were going to drop
second edition just on a Monday article,
on Tuesday or whatever, or like start the pre-hype for the Cathay drop. I assumed that was going to come, and then alongside that, I assumed we would get the FAQ or probably in advance of that, because that's how it worked in the summer. Was we got the FAQ and then sort of Cathay came out. However, Rob, it seems that, I guess it is still January. It's the 21st. There is still one more week in January, and they did say the end of January. So we are in the end of January.
Fast
so I guess
approaching.
there is time. There is time. But it has been a little bit of a dry spell here.
Bit of a dry spell for shorties, especially because before any new edition or FAQ change, people are a little bit like, I don't want to do anything in case things change a bit. What's the plan? What am I going to do? What's the situation? So, we're going to, later on in the video, we're going to be talking about our hopes for the FAQ and some sort of things. And I think the first thing is can you get us one? Could you release it?
Yes. Yeah, that'd be nice. It would be nice, especially since, again, they did have a big sort of New Year preview. So that always stirs the pot of everyone getting excited for the stuff and the goodies that are coming. And then Old World not being in on that one was a bit of a bummer. But I think I've said this before, or somewhere I've said this, the Marauders, I don't think they were part of a preview. That was all Cathay was in a preview. The Marauders just sort of appeared. Which I guess is narratively appropriate. No Ludo narrative dissonance there. That's good.
The last actual article on Warhammer Community that came out about the Old World was 20th of November last year. So
that's too long.
That's too long. Especially for the hype train that is the Old World. But before we get on talking about that and the FAQ specifically, Mr. Heffelfinger, what have you been up to in your grand sojourn into the Old World? And I'm right in thinking that you've really kind of hunkered down. Some may even say castled up.
You can't. Well, hey, all right. Yeah, as mentioned last year, I've been last week. I really want to get a siege going. I want to have a castle in my arsenal. Old head fans of the show will know that some time ago I did achieve having a babbling brook, a river, and I have a nice painted river with a beautiful bridge, and so that's great. But one missing piece of my terrain horde. Fishing village. By the way, Hexengard, some really excellent fishing village STLs within that group. But anyway, one would be getting a castle. So I've been printing off the Hexengard city walls STLs. I think they're really lovely. So far, I'm looking down over at it. I've got a gatehouse and one length of wall, and now I need to figure out, how do I want my castle to actually look? Do I just want the square that the mighty fortress used to be? Do I want, there's a lot of options. So this is where I get very overwhelmed. And so I've just been printing wall sections. I got two going off in the background. Suffering
from the success of a 13th century king. What shape do I want my castle to be?
How do I want my castle? But there's some really cool pieces that are bookends that look like the castle's built into a rock face, so you could do almost like a dwarfen sort of entrance to a hold or something. And then there's obviously there's tower pieces. There's all kinds of different things and different corner ways of doing it. So yeah. Anyway, just trying to figure out how I want my castle to go. So just printing literal wall sections until I figure that out. And that led me to go looking for the 1998 copy that I thought I owned of Warhammer Siege, which I think I must have either lost or it got stolen in my backpack. And because I want to go look at some pictures of what kind of things the studio did. And so to no avail. I did discover the General's Compendium out of it.
Yeah. I'd like to talk about that because that's super interesting. But I wanted to ask, like, have you thought about looking on like Total War? Like, because obviously they have siege. They have siege maps for each of the different.
And they're really pretty.
Yeah.
They
but that might give you some
work
idea.
very well, but they look really good.
Yeah, they don't work very well. Yeah, but like maybe that gives you like the context, because I'm assuming the designers got together and this is how an Empire castle would be shaped. Look, I don't know, because it's not all just mouse mat material flat, is it?
No, and you know what, Rob? You see, this is why I like talking to you. You're an ideas guy. You know, you always have great insight, folks. That's why we're all here, is for Rob to just give you that one little thing that gets you over the hump and into the next stage
of your day. But this did lead you to bust open General's Compendium. Am I right?
Yeah, so everyone knows who watches the show. Anytime I mention 6th edition, I get it completely wrong and put my foot in my mouth. But I do know one thing, which is that a lot of people talk about this thing called the General's Compendium, which was released, I want to say, in like 2002.
Yep.
Something like that, like 2003. So way back in 2003, it is a massive book. So this would have been combined with, I guess, Warhammer's 6th edition. So that was like a big reboot of the franchise into a more grimdarky thing than it was in 5th edition. They leave their red and blue era and they go to just like 40K did at the time. They get a little bit more gritty. But this is like 200 pages. Of some, because I think on the last show too, we were talking about like what are ways of playing the game that maybe we don't always do. What are ways that we can maybe bring different elements into like events, or like whether that be linking the battles or maybe setting the battles in a specific place, or however we might do it. And then this really does feel like it's like 175 pages of dense text. Like this reminds me a lot of like an RPG source book, and a lot of stuff covering campaigns, like 20 pages of boats. So like there's like 20 pages on naval combat in here, which is wild. So like, then they're all just scratch built like Warhammer boats. There's another 20 pages or so on like using sieges and campaigns. It just seems like a really cool resource. So I'm really looking forward to sinking my teeth into this. Any kind of suspicion from the fact that like a lot of what we're seeing for Warhammer the Old World is a big smashing together of different editions and even different game systems, but the core nugget of it is 6th edition, old Warhammer Fantasy Battles. So do you feel like that's really the kind of line in the sand? This is where we're going to draw inspiration from, and we might end up seeing something similar, or we might see the boat battle stuff kind of emerge, or like. Do you see this as a kind of, do you see 6th as their kind of, nesting ground for where they believe the game was at its best? So I think when you look at the Arcane Journal system specifically and how they are releasing sort of like little nuggets of like, here's a cool way, here's something cool you can do, or here's something else cool you can do, in like through the Arcane Journals, to me that rings like very similarly to what I think they did a lot through White Dwarf and books like this. There were, for example, in those days, a ton of, I guess, what we now call armies of infamy, but you sort of like alternate army lists for factions. And we have seen some of those actually come back specifically. Like I know off the top of my head, Nuln is like one of those things. I know like the Slayer host is one of those. So there were lots of different ways to remix the existing armies, and it was also very heavily grounded in hobbying. So like they didn't necessarily have a kit for all of the things that they created rules for. The boats thing is the most stupendous because like, it's all scratch built. Like none of it is something you could buy off the shelf from Citadel. And so I think that's problem. Like I'm just guessing that's where I think a lot of the nostalgia for 6th edition and the passion for 6th edition comes from. is because it was a bit more of a playground of like things you could do and put together and imagine, and it wasn't as prescribed, which is more like the Modern Games Workshop. Modern Games Workshop is more you buy this kit, it does this. It's less of a crafty like hobby experience. Like obviously still got a hobby and put things together, but it's not like you gotta build a castle out of stuff, So I think that's really cool, and I do see those genes a lot in Old World for sure.
Speaking of which, did you see Games Workshop got announced as being worth more than the British steel industry now? So,
I haven't been looking at
the steel industry. It may be.
Well, I don't. The Canadian steel industry has been beset recently. I don't know how the Brits have done with tariffs on that kind of stuff. Also, good question. Like, did they have a steel industry?
well, I don't want to get into it. It doesn't matter. Let's not get into it. But
the NAV of the net asset value of Games Workshop stock is pretty comical. So the market cap of it is very large.
Yeah, shout out to everybody last week who enjoyed our kind of like business chat. Some people were very much like, not for me. I don't want any. I just wanted to talk about the soldiers. Get back to the soldier chat.
Fair.
So that's fair. That's why we're here talking about it now. So boats and castles for you. Very exciting times.
It could be. I mean, I haven't gone to boats yet, but yeah, castle for sure. And then in my brain, I kind of have like this idea for like, I got a lot of stuff, but I just really in my brain, I kind of want to have like a siege where I have two tables together. So like maybe make it like an 8x12 or something. Mm. So like it's almost like that. And in 40K it was apocalypse scale. Mm. Something big that would be fun. Maybe spend a day doing it or something. I don't know.
No, that sounds fun.
And I'll just say I'll film it. We'll say I'll film it and make a siege report.
There you go. All plans do not survive contact with the enemy. First contact with the enemy.
Yes, exactly. Me trying to film while playing anything has so far been an impossible bridge to cross. But there you go.
Even at events.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of events, I ran a foray event this weekend. Just gone. So pretty excited about that. So people don't know that's a 500-point format event. We did sell out at 26 people, but only 22 people turned up. So kind of a strange situation. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. That happens, right? I am always, as always, utterly convinced that it's the best format. I'm actually going to make a separate video about this to go into some detail about it on who did well, what did well. Although I'm a little bit frustrated, I got a new camera over Christmas, and I was like, I'm going to take photos of the coolest armies all with my new camera. And
didn't know that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's one of these weird cameras where you can set like 2 of the 3 like light triangles, and then it automatically sets the other one, and then it just made the shutter speed really, really slow, so everything's blurry. So I was like, oh, what a mistake. Like, so yeah, I know the technical part of it's not important. They're blurry and it's shit, and I'm upset. Like, that's the TLDR. Thankfully, I also filmed it, so well done to me for doing both jobs. But the hobby,
I think it's cool that you have a nice new camera again, because I know photography was one of your previous big things, wasn't it? Like, you used to have a lot of gear and a lot of love for.
Yes.
Like taking pictures and making people look good. So that's cool.
Yeah. Cool. Super cool. So a really fun event though. Like I said, 22 people. We ended up with Beastmen winning the event, and then which was pig-based and also Dragon Ogres. Maybe Dragon Ogres need a little bit of a nerf in foray, I think, maybe. A little too strong. When you're out there, but like you can only have like 125-point character, and then in comes a swinging dick Dragon Ogre Shartak. You're like, Oh, that's maybe too good, to be honest. But then in second and third place, we had Nomadic War, and I think both of them were Nomadic War, Daniel and Keith. So that was really fun. And like I said, I'll detail this in more. But the actual armies, that's the thing I wanted to mention. The actual armies were amazing. There was an amazing Chaos Dwarf army that it was a Hobgoblin Carnate.
Okay.
Super
That's
cool.
Fun.
Yeah, super cool. The armies were just super nice. There was loads of really good effort. Andy from the Andy 2D6 channel, he had like an old school 90s Chaos Warrior army where they're all in the the mono
The
pose.
hunchbacks?
Yeah, little hunchbacks, just being in a little mono pose, which is really fun. So yeah, there was just some really nice armies. But I guess the big news really is that I think maybe 8 out of the 21-ish, 22 people had never been to a GT before, and maybe half of the people to 3/4 of the people had never been to the TSN before.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, super good. And so like that was the bit that was really kind of, and I've looked, and almost all the other foray events are close to selling out, or like, yeah, very close to selling out. And it really kind of impacted on me just how important the format is, because like you can see people being nervous at the start, and I always ask at the start, is anyone new? And when I saw like nearly a dozen hands go up, I was like, oh, okay, well, this is how a tournament works. Like they'll be like, this is the pairings, they'll be on BCP, there'll be a thing. I kind of gave them like the quick TLDR, and I probably left some stuff out, but you know, going through that process, you're like, wow, this is huge. There's like lots of people, and you know, 2 years into the old world, which it is, you know, and then you've still got like quite a lot of people. It's like, oh, this is my first GT. You're like, well, okay. I think this thing is growing, but also it's super nice that format is a really nice kind of, you know, stepping stone. And I said to some people, I was like, I asked a couple of people, you know, kind of in person, I was like, well, you know, how come you chose this? They're like, it's just a much easier barrier to entry. 2,000 points is a lot of points to build and paint and put on the table, and I'm not really sure. 2 days is a lot to commit as well, because it's a 1-dayer. 2 days is a lot to commit. So it was really interesting that like it was something that broke down all those barriers, which is really obvious for us speaking here, or people who are like, yeah, I've been in the old world for a long time, but actually for a bunch of new people, not that obvious. Right, like, and one of the guys was my favorite. He's like, really, I'm only into it because I get to just buy loads of different armies at 500 points. And he was like, he was very much like, yeah, I'm just buying everything.
Yeah,
which I thought was cool. Yeah. So yeah, it was a really good event.
And I think as from the perspective of like 2,000 point army dudes, which I certainly am, and that goes to like when I was playing 40K and like all that kind of stuff. I really had to play the smaller scale to realize that it's still a game, right? Like I still had like that it wasn't just a really boring interaction, that it had depth to it, that it was still Warhammer Fantasy. And so yeah, I really encourage it. And also like for folks who maybe are in situations where there aren't a lot of people playing, well, and you got 2,000 points, well, you got enough there to do 3, you know, like 3 or 4 armies, right? Even if they're, you know, mirror matches or whatever. So yeah, I think it is a really great way to sort of start building up a little community and getting people involved. Oh my God. And it's still fun.
Yeah, I think that's the best advice. I think that's some of the things we get asked a lot in YouTube comments as well. They're like, Rob, I want to start running events, or Rob, I want to build up my community locally. And I feel like I don't know how this isn't like what you're doing, basically, because yeah, like I was kind of shocked, if I'm honest. I was like, I know we've got 26 people, but it'd probably be just like 26 of the regulars wanting to do something different. And I was like, wow, this is so many different people. So yeah, like, and I feel like I'm not trying to start like a club at the venue, like, cause like it's an event space, and then Monday to Friday I live stream and make videos and stuff. So I'm not really trying to like build up like that thing. But if you wanted to, like, if you know whatever different region you're in, you know, like encourage people. And like you said, if you have a 2,000 point army, really it's 4 500 point armies you can spread around your friends. You can you can easily lend. It's much harder to lend a 2,000 point army to someone than it is to lend them a 500 point army. And the interactions, that was the last thing as well. Matt, who won the event, but he also goes to lots of like 2-day GTs as well. Matt was saying that like he loved how like, you know, that failure point in Old World where you've got like the big dragon, but it whiffs all the attacks, and you've got the leadership 10 rerollable and it still runs away. Like he was like
Warhammer stuff.
Warhammer stuff. But he's like there's just so much more Warhammer stuff, and like, you know, your three attacks from your pig is actually pretty vital that they all go through. And actually, if they whiff, they can whiff. And, you know, so that was really fun. You had like little crossbowmen trying their hardest against everything. You had knights just gunning down the field and losing combat because really knights suck. They got 1 attack each. Like, you know, you only need to miss with 3 and all of a sudden you're losing. It was fun. And, you know, and even some of those rules, which they brought in the match play guide, you know, like attacking extra ranks and those sorts of things, actually were pretty impactful. And we did do some FAQ stuff as well. We made a restriction on ethereal. There could be 1 unit of ethereal We said that no bound magic missiles could be taken, and then also you could only attempt to cast one magic missile per turn. Just to
interesting.
They're just so. You know this from the big scale game. Magic missiles are just so much more efficient than ballistic skill shooting.
Well, they don't have to roll to hit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and also, like, 12 crossbowmen might end up costing you 120 points or something, or not as that much, but maybe playing dwarfs. But actually, a bound magic missile is like, 30 points, 35 points, whatever. So it's just much more efficient. So those restrictions, I think, were good as well. And I'm happy that we're adding them on. And I think I'll add a Dragon Ogre kind of restriction on as well, because like just one Dragon Ogre, because that thing's a tank at 500 points.
Yeah, like, it's serious business. Yeah,
absolutely serious business. So I think making those little adjustments is really good. But just seeing people have the most ludicrous combats where nothing was working because they've only got 5 attacks, and then it was hilarious, and I loved it. So it was really good, really, really good time, and I can't go on about it as and it's free online. It's free on the website. Like, go check it out. I'm sure you'll didgeridoo it somewhere. And then
it's actually permanently hosted, actually. So if you go in the description, no matter what, that you'll see there'll be a link to the 4A pack is what it's called with us. You'll often hear it referred to now as Battle March. GW has launched the format officially. Have officially launched it. 4A rules down below. And then I would also strongly recommend the best part of the 4A rules is that they have terrain setups, because I think if you were to just look at the terrain setups that Rob has created there, you would think, it's too much stuff. Like, there's too much going on. But actually, I think it really creates a lot of fun. Like, it creates a lot of dynamics of being able to get out of the way, being able to be out of line of sight, because the game is actually played on a very, very small board. So you're starting within charge range of each other, for cavalry and things that fly and such. So having that density of terrain, which also is good because it's a small table, so it's not actually like a lot of terrain. But it's I think important for also making it a fun and dynamic game. So well worth looking at that stuff.
Also, I was lucky enough to get my Chaos Dwarf army out for the first time. If people don't know or haven't been listening, a group of lovely people got together and painted my Chaos Dwarf army for me. So I was able to put that on the table and play, because someone dropped out kind of just after lunch. They were like, Rob, I'm not going to be able to make the rest of the day. And I was like, oh, that's okay, don't worry about it. I ran over. I was like, I'll play the first game. And Toby was like, oh, don't worry, I'll play the next 2 games. I was like, cheers, that's great. He also ended up playing Slayer Host at 500 points and giving up 0 kill points. It was such a trolly list. It was so funny. And then he also played against he played against Connor, who's like one of our club mates. So he was having a good time with it. It was really fun. But yeah, I got to play my Chaos Dwarfs. So I took some blunderbusses and a Chaos, and I played Nate. And he was like, wow, that Chaos Sorcerer is so well painted. And I was like, I know, I am the GOAT. I am this, because the Chaos Dwarf Sorcerer looks amazing.
Yes.
Because it's been professionally commission painted, not by me. And so I was like, I put it on the table and I was like, he looks really good, actually.
He's pretty good looking, isn't he?
Pretty good looking, that guy. I also got my dick handed to me because
good.
Yeah, because my list is like pure win or no win, and I took the Death Shrieker, landed it right on top of the Shartak's head, and I was like, listen, 4+, get that motherfucker out of here. Rolled a 2, so because it's D6 damage.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time. Really, really fun. So yeah, had a good time with that. That was a cool time. Happy to put the Chaos Dwarfs on the board. Looking forward to it. I've got an event in 2 weeks. I might try and play in with Chaos Dwarfs. So yeah, looking forward to that. Looking forward to that a lot. Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to see what you come up with for a list.
Me either. But I need you to know options. It's going to have 2 Death Shriekers in, and I'm going to be rolling that lightning all day. Yeah, that's gambling. I might go buy some big casino dice. That's what I'm going to do.
Yes.
So one of the other things that also happened, or maybe the Square-based community, so this is more kind of people who regularly watch the show or support us on Patreon. I just thought I'd put this out there. Might not know, is that we've started to produce battle reports from here. So if you remember, like just after the summer last year, we put we spoke to everybody and we're like, we're going to start with, I'd like to start doing battle reports, and a bunch of people donated money, which is super nice. And so we kitted it out, and then we did the first. So the way it works is we have an event, so it's a tournament, and then we have someone playing. And I don't know if I've ever said this on the show yet. don't know if I've described the format to anybody.
Go ahead.
I
don't know. I think there was a long period of time where you're like, I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to start doing this. And then you actually did get a couple in the can, but weren't able to release them. Maybe you haven't really gone over in detail.
Yeah. I got the flu for like 3 weeks over Christmas. I basically literally recorded the first one. So we have in the TSN, we now have a studio set up, and that studio's got like 11 cameras. One of the cameras is broken. That's made me sad. Should be 12. I got 11 cameras. And then what we're going to do is we're going to record people playing tournament games. Right. Yep. So I keep using the incredibly cheesy line, real games by real gamers. And Val who's mocked me for that? Several people. Louise, I think you have on a different call when we were.
I'm pretty sure this is the first time I've heard real games by real gamers.
What do you think? Hit me up.
I feel like that's got play out there in the rest of the world.
Really?
I think perhaps your artsy fartsy types may not like it, but I think that's great.
You think that's great? Okay, that's great. So there's actually loads I really want to say about this. So I'm going to try and I don't want to be doing a monologue, but we have a space. Tournament players play. The format that we're going to do is we would put one person over the course of a weekend versus just the top tables. And the reason for that is that I really like watching an army play through the course of a weekend. Having live streamed lots of events, you've also live streamed a lot of events. Sometimes it can just feel like it's the same people and the same armies all of the time.
Certainly, you'll get a lot of common matchups, and then also you don't always get people who are super pumped to be on camera.
That's also true. Yeah. Some people are like, that's not for me. So we put people in the room. Obviously, we ask ahead of time, is like, you okay with that? And if they're like, yes or no. So we had Paul on with the Noblar Liberation Army just before Christmas. And then we record all his games, and now we've started editing them out into and they're recorded, so we did stream them, but the streaming is not really important because you need like close-ups of the little barrels. You've got to have someone in that room. So it's me for 2 days just zooming in a camera. I was like, there's that fucking Noblar fighting for some reason Pegasus Knights again. I don't think he's gonna win.
Hey, Warhammer stuff could happen.
Yeah, Warhammer stuff could happen. So they're edited down now, and the first one's actually up on Patreon. It's also up as on YouTube if you want to become a YouTube member, because actually some feedback I got was lots of people Patreon is blocked at work. Yeah, or like on their phone or on their app, they just generally find subscribing is more easy to do just via a membership than to do via Patreon. So I just thought I'd put them in both.
I love watching bat reps when I do watch them on my TV. Like I love firing them up and having them on a big screen.
I'm not sure if you can do that via Patreon on a big TV.
I mean, you could screen share or whatever, but like there's a native like YouTube app on most TVs, whereas I don't know if Patreon has something that you could have on your Samsung or whatever.
Yeah, maybe.
So you could stream to the TV using your but then you can't dick around on your phone at the same time. So anyway, subscribing via membership is helpful for that.
Yeah, so it's available both places. The content is identical. And the format is that there'll be two types of video that come out. There'll be the one that's currently up, which is just a shortened down, but still a very long form version. So you just like ums and ahs are taken out of the video, that's available. And then there'll be a what we call tabletop in 10 minutes, so a tits. Which is like it might be 20 minutes.
You got jugs, you got tits. Nice.
Yeah, jugs and tits. Tabletop in 10 minutes, which is like a more highly edited, more broken down version of the game and the experience. And and then you get to follow someone's journey. And then because we run events all the time, hopefully there'll be at least a video a week. Hopefully there'll be a tits a week and a long form every single week going forward forever until I die, or we could start doing 2 a week. I don't know, from TSN Northern America. We'll see. Canada, TSN Canada, that's what it's called.
Yeah, still Canada.
Still Canada for now.
Let me just check. Do we have an update of, I just got to check Google Maps, make sure it's still Canada. But I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, and one of the things that I thought was really interesting as feedback I got from some of the players, because I was kind of listening to some of the games, and the room is so it's a closed door. There's soundproofing in it. It's like got nice lighting in it. There's a comfy chair. And the players are like, I'm just so relaxed. And so there was no tournament noise. I was even saying during the live stream, I was like, I feel like I should pump tournament noise in. So it feels a bit more lively, like bar music or something.
Yes.
But actually, one of the things that I really enjoyed, one of the players said that they sometimes when they're watching battle reports, the battle reports people have to be quite entertaining, right? Like they're
What do
like,
you mean?
So like one of the things that was being said was, and this is no slight at all, I just want to be really clear. One of the things that they said was like some battle reports, the people who are playing it are being very like loud and ostentatious and entertaining and fun and gregarious, which is all great stuff and people really enjoy. But someone was like, if I saw that as a tournament game or even as what I thought tournaments were like, I would not go. He's like, I'm way too anxious for that. He's like, if I thought someone was going to be doing Shakespeare across the table from me, I'm not going. Whereas you just like, so Paul, who played over the course of the weekend, Paul's just chilling out. He's just like, yeah, man, do you want a drink? Do you want to re-roll that? Whatever. Like, it's very chill. And I feel like it's the best advert for an event where it's just real regular people just being like, yeah, man, just charge it, whatever, just go for your thing. Like, so actually I quite enjoyed that. So hopefully the more edited ones will be super punchy and the long form ones are just a chill thing to put on while you're painting for a couple of hours, which is nice.
Yeah.
And hopefully in the future,
I've currently got the basically just the beginning rolling right now on my monitor to check it out. And I gotta say, this introduction of the army list is pretty dope. This is not just a cut and paste of what was recorded. You actually did a lot of work here. So it's like we're showing off the army and you're showing off a unit card for each entry and talking about them. It's fantastic.
But I'm hoping the real highly edited ones. And if I'm just going to be really honest with everybody here, because I'm also kind of hit a brick wall with writing that because it's quite a lot. It's quite stressful. And I'm not sure, like, it's my personal project. So I'm just like, I'm hitting this wall at the minute with writing it, if I'm honest, because I want to make it really funny. But I keep saying to myself, I don't think you're that funny. Like, I keep writing it, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's funny. That might be
all in the delivery, Rob. You guys just gotta.
Maybe I'll write it. Just give it to you. Maybe I'll write it, give it to you, because that's the delivery we need.
My sardonic delivery for you. Yes, like great Canadian delivery.
Yes, and you might, and in the future, obviously, because we have events so regularly, hopefully we can have like special guests or even special armies, as an example. Like I just talked about, Rebecca, for instance, is second in the UK right now with Wood Elves. But she's been mainly running like all treekin, dryads.
So delightful.
You are coming maybe to the UK soon, maybe ?
I'm going to try for another Resurrection weekend.
We'll see. And then maybe we could just put Val Heffelfinger on the stream with Troll Horde for
just
5.
Yeah, with the Troll Horde. All right.
No, Renegade Crowns. That's what you want to play.
Renegade Crowns? Is that what I want to play?
Isn't it?
Empire. No,
I want to do Nuln.
Nuln would be what I want. Yeah, Nuln would probably be. Well, who knows with the FAQ coming? I don't know what I'll want to play. That's another problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think I remember when you were first explaining your concept of having like one player like holding court essentially throughout the weekend. I didn't get it instantaneously. And then I think I really do love the idea of being able to see one person's experience through a series of games. Mm-hmm. And then I think also for people who are maybe either like event curious or just like playing Warhammer curious, I think it's good to be able to show folks going through the highs and lows of playing Warhammer. Like, I think a lot of folks get worried about like, oh, I'm just going to lose. Or like you said, it's going to be overwhelming. The people are going to be way smarter than me, or they're going to, whatever reason. It's so good to see the fact that people playing Warhams is just people having a good time, and that, you know, like, it's hopefully very, very normalizing. I think that's like a very important thing for getting folks out and over the hump. I do have a question. Did you record any games for Foray?
No, mainly because a couple of things, because I'm such a one-man machine. Like, no, this is what a terrible way to describe yourself. People throwing popcorn at the screen. No, because it's just I'm such a solo operation. Like in order to run the event, I had to basically run the event. Someone else ran the event for me while I did the recording. So someone needs to be in there. So like, I think over the course of the year, I've got to be really organized, which is a bit difficult for me. I've got to really organized to make sure there's either someone in there doing the recording for me and then I'm running the event, or someone's running the event for me and then I'm there. And with Foray, because I wanted to make sure because I knew there'd be a lot, well, I didn't know there'd be a lot of new people, but I wanted to make sure anyone who was here, like they got all their questions answered, they got looked after. I wanted to make sure that was something. So I wanted to do that. I think what I might do is I might record a couple of Foray games, like not at an event. So like I might get some of the local people and me, and we'll just play a couple of games together and kind of explain the mechanics. So I think that might also be a good kind of how to play, learn to play video, which kind of gives you the basics. And I think that would be really fun for people. So yeah, and I think that I genuinely think that would work really, really well as content. So if that is something you'd like to see, let me know in the comments so I can kind of get some feedback on that. But yeah, that would be cool. I didn't want to put any pressure. I think if I was going to do that for Foray, I'd have to be like, pick the people really seriously. I think that'd be really intimidating, your first GT and you're also getting recorded. I think that's too much.
No, absolutely, and I think that is another thing too of being able to curate the games, like, and having a specific player there on the screen. One of the most one of the most underrated things about making battle reports is the folks that are on screen. Like they're carrying the story. They're the ones like performing the game, and that's why I think a lot of times with battle reports, especially the professional studio versions of battle reports, that's why they do have very presentery. Almost reality TV show approaches to how they present the game, because that's sort of like a performance language, I suppose you could say, of how games are played online and presented. Whereas the experience of being a person playing a game, a real gamer playing a real game. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Gamers,
real games by real gamers? I don't know.
Real games, real gamers. I think is a great thing. And
we're workshopping it. Give us some ideas.
We're working it out. It'll be on a t-shirt soon. But I think like that's a just a great element to have. And also this is going to be a different style of game than you're going to get from other places. So like there is a handful of outfits that are consistently doing old world battle reports right now. And some. Yeah, absolutely. But a lot of those are going to be, either that like really big time studio presentation performance, or if you look over at Mountain Minis, he does a live recording, not really like the old fashioned handycam stuff anymore, but in the anyway, it doesn't matter. But like that's going to be a very casual game between two guys having a good time. Again, they are usually pretty pro presenters. But this is also, now you have people playing Old World who are just regular peeps with their toys. That's the other, these aren't studio painted armies that are impossible to achieve. These are achieved by real people. And they are playing a game that is set up in a tournament to win. So this gives you an idea too of like when you're in a tournament environment, what are the games like? How, is it going to be real contentious?
Yeah, there's some stakes as well, like, which I thought was really fun. I really enjoyed that. Like spoilers for everybody, but Paul's Iron Blasters literally couldn't hit planet Earth if they were stood in front of it. Like, it's unbelievable scenes to the point where I was like screaming during like game 4 and like punching the desk, and I was like, come on. And also one of the things I really like about it as well is because you had like Paul was playing all weekend, right? But he played against some like absolutely top tier people, like really fun, really nice, really lovely people. But also we get to, everyone's going to want to see you, right? Like if you come over to England, when you come over to, because you will come over, when you come over to England, people will really want to see you because it's Val Heffelfinger. Everyone wants to see Val Heffelfinger, right? But like being able to like big up these people who I think are heroes, because like you got like, Pip and Jack and other Jack, and like obviously I can't wait to film the first Jack off, like 2 Jacks having a game, right? That's just going to be 11 out of 10. So like there's some wonderful people, and I really want them to have their like 5 minutes where they're going to be able to like play their games and like show their show their kids, oh, look at that's me playing it, that's your dad playing the game, or like their wives or whatever it is. I think that's a really fun sort of thing for me, at least. Much more interested than me playing games. I feel much more interested about that. Like, I'm really excited about you playing games, but I'm sure you're going to turn around and be like, yeah, people, Rob, would love to see you play a game. And I'll be like, fuck off.
Well, get someone who can run the board, and then we can do an opening round matchup.
Yeah, I do intend to. Like, I'll get some. I'm going to try and train a couple of different people up who don't mind like running the equipment, and then I'll play in an event, and I'll record that as well. So that'd be fun. But yeah, like I think building people up who are, which is what we used to do when we both did streaming as well, right? That was a thing.
I think a big motivator for me in my original foray into, I guess, Warhammer content was a general sense in those days in 40K, and I was playing Warhammer 40K, which has now got like this very, much more advanced, but still got room to grow tournament scene. But there was a stigma around it. Like, and there was also this assumption that if you went and played people at a tournament, that they were going to try and screw you over, and that the people who did win were just winning because they brought like overpowered stuff or they were lucky or whatever. And it totally dismissed the amount of effort that these people put into their armies. It dismissed the amount of effort people put into just getting there. Like, these are hard. Like, if you're out of town and you're going to the TSN, like that's a weekend that you've got to plan and prepare for. And then also completely discounted the amount of skill and effort that goes into being good at this game. It's a very hard game.
Very hard game.
It's a very hard game. Like in any of the Warhammers you pick from, even current versions of AOS and 40K and all that stuff, these are complicated things. And so, I really felt like showcasing players and how good they could be, the mastery of it in all the segments of that, I thought was really, really important for normalizing getting out and playing games with human beings. And I think if there is one, social good of Warhammer, it's that it gets people into a room in a spirit of friendly competition with strangers, and you can, at the end of the day, have friends. And I think that's a very life affirming and important thing for folks to have access to. And that's one of the reasons why I love this stuff so much.
It's really good. And last thing I want to say before we go any further, this is the first one we putting more up. But thankfully, we get to iterate over the course of the year. So if there's something about you like, I think this could be an improvement, that could be an improvement, give me feedback. Like, I'm super keen for that. I think that would be really cool. There's already some feedback got from the first run, and I've done an AOS set as well now, and I got some feedback from that as well. So it's just improving and getting the best I can, because also there's some fun technical challenges. I don't get to just stop the game and run around with a gimbal. Like, I'm not while it is a professional bat rep studio, that's what I would like to describe it as. Put the money, time, and effort in to make it professional as hell. Graphics, everything should be like the best, as good as anyone else in the world. Like, we're trying to do something slightly different in that it's two people who are just playing a game. So it's kind of that like reality TV almost style thing, which is interesting technical challenges. I really enjoyed when someone just came in with a box and just swiped the camera, and they were like, Rob, I think I've knocked the camera. I was like, you haven't knocked it. I think you've uppercutted it into space.
You fucking drop kicked it.
I was like, that's fine. That's my fault. I maybe should cover it in some big yellow tape. It is a black camera against a black wall, so that's my fault. So yeah, like there's some really fun stuff there. So hopefully we can keep improving in it and making it sexier. Anyway, that's enough about that. I apologize. It's just it's a big fun new thing for the channel, and hopefully it can go from strength to strength. And hopefully,
and how many of these are you hoping to crank out in a month? So for the membership,
I would say at least one. I would like to say one long form and one edited one a week as a minimum. But actually, we have more events than we have weeks. So as an example, there's never 5 weeks between 2 Old World events. So if I record both, then we'll have more games than we'll have weeks. So
that's good. That gives you some curation opportunity too, right? Like you can make sure it's more or less bangers. This is beautiful. We should have had this on the screen while we talked about it, because wow, it looks really good.
Yes. Okay. Maybe I could do an edit and throw something over the top later. I don't know. Anyway, right. So FAQ time. I apologize about that for everybody, but obviously really exciting for Square Based for me and Val.
For all you folks out there, if you're friends with somebody and they poured their life into something and they've been telling you about it for months, maybe make the first time you bother looking at it not live on the show you do with them. But I will tell you.
To you for an hour yesterday, and I was like, do you think he will watch it? And you were like, yeah, like maybe.
This is really good, Rob. You should be proud. So yeah, let's let the people get some.
But that is
glimpses of
in
this.
my
This is
opinion.
really good.
That is in my opinion not the sexy version of the edit. There's going to be the punchy nailed down version of the edit. Hopefully is going to be the banger that people are like. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Where it's a bit more crunchy, it's a little bit more narrative, it's a little bit more fun. And that's the bit I'm really sticking with right now. I really want to mix narrative and also technical at the same time, and I think that's quite interesting. Like realistically, how many times can a ogre iron blaster roll a misfire dice? Because statistically, it gets better over time. Anyway, FAQ time. If you are watching this and you're like, I want to talk about the FAQ, these are all things I need changing, drop them in the comments below, please and thank you. Let's start high level. FAQ should be, or is announced to be out. Do you think for the FAQ that we are going to be seeing drastic to massive points changes?
Oh, points changes.
That's the first question for me. Obviously, there's stuff like I want to hear what you want. But actually, what do we think about points changes? And a question to the community, how do you feel about points changes? A question to Val, how do you feel about points changes? Because there is it, I think it's, what's the game that Mantic make that's square-based battling? It's, oh goodness.
Kings of War?
Kings of War? Is it Kings of War? I think they have a rule where they never change the points, they change the rules instead. So that if you've painted 2,000 points, you always have 2,000 points, right? Like that's kind of the scheme. But points is a great way of rounding off some edges without changing a bunch of different rules. And I would argue taking a unit from light armor to heavy armor might be much different than changing it from 8 points to 7 points. So like there's some sort of variance there as well. So yeah, what do you think about the idea of big and aggressive points changes?
I like the idea. And because I do think there are certain segments, and this goes back quite a bit, right? Like where like we go look at the history of Warhammer Fantasy. Basically, different unit types have sort of been added to over time. Like they've always had monsters, they always had chariots, they always had infantry, but we've also added, we've added monstrous infantry, which was sort of a middle tier, and then monstrous cavalry, and then that impacted what the effectiveness and like sort of value of heavy cavalry. So this game is largely, the bits of a sort of a long development curve, and a lot of the points too sort of carried over as well. So those points are perhaps reflective of, in some cases, of the relative power levels in games, like sort of a game state that no longer exists, if that makes any sense.
Yep.
So like I would love to see them normalize points, like just come at it, like if there's another edition, like really look at how these things hang together and actually, I don't know, maybe update their formula on how points work, because you definitely see stuff like elite infantry, for example, being generally across the board overpointed. And so armies that have that as their identity, looking at you elves, of all varieties, which are fundamentally elite infantry, tend to feel like they don't have what they need to be able to stay on the table.
Like a role.
They don't have a role, but also they just don't have like that staying power, and so you got to lean into the units that maybe make you feel like you have a choice. That tends to a lot of times be dragons. That means like bringing a lot more cavalry than infantry, all this sort of stuff. In the summer FAQ, they brought out rules that actually did sort of macro buff infantry. And I think that was a really, really great move. And I would love to see that get expanded. For example, I think there's no reason why monstrous infantry shouldn't be included in the infantry buffs.
Okay.
I think that would be a really helpful thing to a whole class of unit that now feels a little bit was underwhelming and remains feeling a bit underwhelming. But as a general point, I do believe that, points adjustments, whether that be up or down, I think would be great. I think in my heart of hearts, like I do wonder how comprehensive they're going to be on this.
Mm-hmm.
And whether or not we're going to see some cherry-picked units either get buffed up or down. But I don't know. Well, then that goes basically comes from previous experience with like versions of Warhammer games where the studio's been sort of at this level of able to offer support, where they can't really look at the holistic picture necessarily. They might come in and try and do a couple things with specific units. And I do hope some units also just get like rules changes, like you saw in June. Like, I can think of like Empire State Troops, for example, got Horde added to them.
Yes,
which was a great thing. And I think there's various units out there that are missing abilities or keywords that would just sort of help make them feel a little more fleshed out. Maybe an upgrade from heavy armor to full plate. Looking at you, Chaos Warriors, stuff like that would be, I think, a useful things to look at. What about you? Do you think do you like points changes? I like them, but
yeah, I want to just know, everyone who's listening to this right now is no, I don't like them, but I accept that is mandatory. Like, and I'm sure that's a lot of other people's feelings as well, right? Like, there's a lot of people like, I really don't want the points changed. I really don't want stuff to move around. Like, I really wish they got it right the first time. Like, of course,
absolutely,
of course, we all agree. But like, we also want to improve and get things better. And I think points changes are just a kind of mandatory way of of moving stuff around. Like, one of my big issues right now is I don't really love or feel cavalry has a place in the game. All right, like it doesn't feel like it. There are certain units that do, for sure. And I'm not talking about Peg Knights, obviously, they don't count. But like, I think that there are certain units that but then I really don't know how to justify some of those changes. Because I was thinking the other day, I was like, do I want them to be really good into infantry? I was like, well, we know because of threat ranges and charge ranges, they're always going to get the charge off. So that infantry are just nothing now. And it's like, infantry got buffed enough. Did they get buff enough to kind of soak up? Did they get enough where charging a cavalry, which you'll always get to do into infantry, there's enough Warhammer stuff going on that maybe it doesn't work out for you? Maybe not. Do I think infantry should be cheap? Cavalry should be cheaper, or it should be more like heavy? Like, heavy cavalry having 2 wounds as an example. One of the strengths I think of, one of the strengths of Peg Knights, I think, is that they're multi-wound models, right? Monstrous cav. But should just heavy cav just have 2 wounds and you just kind of vibe with it? Like, I was kind of like, should they? And then, but I'm like, that's kind of weird. Like, cavalry, should they be tanky? Really, should that be their job when they should be gunning around the board? I don't really know. So that's one of those sticky points where actually I'm not really sure what the answer is. I think that could be looked at. I wouldn't mind just a very aggressive attempt at rewording things as well. I think that would be good. I think just kind of embracing that you do need some standardized language to explain stuff would be super nice. But I am also conscious that probably we're a year away from a second edition. And I don't think that means they should do nothing. But what I mean by that is we are a year away from a second edition, I feel like they should be in the FAQs that we see now, maybe one that we get in the summer, maybe. We should be seeing language and ideas put forward that we will see in second edition, so that we can kind of get prepped as a community. Because I think the worst thing is how jarring, for AOS or 40K or anything else, how jarring some edition changes can be. If you're planning on adding something, taking something away. Like, for instance, if you're planning on changing how flammable works, which would be pretty good, or how flaming attacks work, that would, against regen, that would be really nice. Just do it now. Do it now, so that in a year's time, we're like, cool, I don't have to remember the last version, this version, and a new version. I think that would be nice, some sort of continuity. So I think I'd like to see that. Cavalry, I'm not really sure about. That's just kind of a personal thing. Points, I think, are mandatory. And I think that would be really nice to see, because I think it would make a lot of people very excited. And then especially even if it just ends up being points on generic magic items, I think even if it's just that, so some stuff's more viable, some stuff is less viable. I think that 5-up ward save as a magic item definitely should be different on a monster to on a an infantryman or a cavalryman, and you could set that out. That would work quite nicely. So I wouldn't mind some stratification there as well. I think that would be quite nice. Those are some of the things I would really like to see. With the exception of that, though, and obviously skirmishers forever. Maybe just ban skirmishers.
Or like, again, there's a lot of quality of life stuff that was left behind in previous editions that I think they could very easily go to in a future edition to just make stuff easier to play with. And I think skirmishers, for example, going to the 8th edition style skirmisher, where they're essentially ranked up, but they have spacing between them, I think that would work just fine. On the note of cavalry and scaling, like, I think cavalry in general, again, like, it just, to me, it requires sort of a holistic refresh. And I don't know how it's been missed, but like, they are quite in everything except guy on horse or lady on horse. They give a wound for each element of the model. So if you look at a chariot, or if you look at a Cathayan sky lantern, and you think to yourself, why is this? What is it? 7 wounds? Count the amount of people on it.
7 dudes.
I don't know if there's 7, but the chariot itself counts for something. Like the balloon itself would count for something, right? Like it isn't like there's usually method to why something's a 4 wound or a 5 wound chariot. Like there tends to be like sort of a style there. Monstrous infantry, monstrous cavalry is 3 wounds. To me, it just makes sense that person on horse would be 2 wounds, but that would also then require saying, okay, like, now is this 2 little points, or is this maybe we would need to raise points levels there. There would need to be some normalization. I think a big wish list, this goes beyond the FAQ entirely, but something that 9th Age did, which I think, this is something I used to pine for in Warhammer 40K, was they just took all the points and I think they just doubled them. And what that allows you to do is, right now, if you have a 3-point model that's too expensive and you cut it to 2 points, that's what, a 30%, 33% reduction in its value.
Yeah.
Right. You don't have a lot of room to like actually tweak that. Like, you don't have the fidelity. So actually having, and again, they're slavish to having like a person is about 5 or 6 points. That's what a human being is. They could also be 100 points, and we play a 20,000 point game. Whatever. So like, I think that's something I'd love to see in a future edition. And with all of this, we talked a little bit about being about a year away. I think what they could do here is like just really do some like fan service, address some bugaboo units, take the hard edges off the harshest things, maybe raise up a few more things, just breathe a little bit of life, and like address Cathay, breathe a little bit of life.
Just to address them. I'm sick of watching them just 360 no scope everything on the board, right? Like they're a jumped up monster drinking 14-year-old COD sniper. They're just like, I'm gonna go anywhere. They're just absolutely on Bolivian marching powder, and it's insane, right? It's so sick. I'm so sick of watching them. That's all they do.
You know what? After 2 years, probably there's Bretonnian players out there that like, man, it'd be great if I didn't feel like I needed to always take the Peg Knights. It'd be great if there was an alternative thing that appeals to me, and that's where the opportunity is. They're not gonna like make the game like 100% balanced and like super perfect.
No. What
they could do though is just fire up all of our imaginations again, right? Like, just get people thinking again about like, oh, sick. Now I have a reason. This unit now has a job. This unit has something that I can say is like, oh, that's worth taking now. And that's just exciting. And that breathes life into a meta or into people playing the game. And I think you do that with new rules and points adjustments. And I sure hope that there's more things being lifted up than brought down, because that will help balance out the feel good versus feel badsies,
Yes. Yeah, I think that's a really solid pick as well. I also want some clarity on I don't know if I really want them to like re-look at how they did the points, because I don't use any of their points for scoring, but I mean, I would love them to be like, hey, we made a mistake with our tiers for the structures. I don't think that would be bad at all.
Oh, you mean like on mission scoring?
Yeah, mission scoring, or the ones they put in the match play guide, which some people do use, right? Because you pick up your classic match play guide, you pick it up, you use it, and you go away with it. Of course, you're gonna, and I think there could be some nice changes there as well. I think that would be really fun. I think overall. Okay, so this is my last question because we're running out of time because you've got to go. So overall, this is my question to the community because I would like to read through all of the comments myself. Question from the community, but also question to Val is: do you want at this stage, because I think people are enjoying themselves. Game seems good. Everyone's having a nice time. There are definitely some strong armies that need addressing. I think that's a mandatory thing, so we don't need to really talk about that. Do you want a light touch, or do you want it to be this is our last big shake-up for the year? For the next year until we get to, second edition. Which would you prefer?
I always prefer the shakeup.
You prefer the shakeup?
I prefer the shakeup because what the shakeup does for me is fire up my imagination and make me excited for new possibilities, new sort of
new list writing.
New list writing. Also, again, there's just so many units that maybe just wind up sitting on a shelf, and so if there's a way to get a unit out of there and into something else, then that's great. And also new modalities of the game, because if you provide units with changes to their rules or make them more efficient or less efficient, then that's going to change up what players are doing. But ultimately, I like to build a list that I think looks cool, but also functions well. So I'm always narrowed down in my choices, and then I try and build something that appeals to me out of what are optimal choices. I rarely will take just a dog unit just because I want to. So yeah, I think that's where the opportunity always lies. And so a bit of a shakeup, I think is great. As long as and again, this would have been the June FAQ would have been a home run had they written Cathay with their changes in mind. And had they immediately gone back, as they released Cathay and said, we just did a big FAQ, here are the adjustments to Cathay to reflect that. But they didn't. And as a result, you had this real bummer last 6 months of sort of things in conflict that didn't need to be there. So hopefully with this release, it's it's nothing but positive vibes and people feeling better about the way the game is and getting excited to go play it. Because it's so much fun.
Yeah. And also, I think from both of us, last thing, obviously, we'd like to say, first line of the FAQ, legacy armies are now officially recognized. It's just an easy first line, quotation marks. Let's just put that in. Easy peasy. We'll never stop campaigning. We'll never stop.
So absolutely. But this is something that I took away because there was no old world content in the Horus Heresy reveals that were last week. But there was a lot of Horus Heresy stuff, and specifically they released the Custodes for Horus Heresy, which is beautiful plastic kits that are in a lot of ways duplicate kits to what's already in 40K. So you have the situation where Custodes are in both systems, share models, but there's one model for 40K, one model for Horus Heresy, and in that particular scenario, the presenters were quite thrilled to say use them in either one. If you want to run this guy in 40K, go for it. And by the way, there's going to be in this book, there's some units that aren't in there, but don't worry, they're in Legacy, fully supported. You can go download the PDF and you have access to those older units. And that approach, I cannot tell, and we will not know until we do know. I cannot tell if the way Horus Heresy is being managed is a result of the mouthfuls of poopy that they have been eating because of how they handled legacy factions in Old World, and if it speaks to maybe a thawing of this schism, and that maybe if we see a future edition of Old World, even if we don't get full books back, maybe they will now say, actually, no, you can play Lizardmen. There's all these awesome AOS models. You can use them. You can use them in Old World, and we're going to keep this legacy PDF up to date. I don't know.
I think the issue is that Custodes were originally a SDS IP. So actually, 40K has always been borrowing Custodes from. They've been borrowing Custodes from Horus Heresy. So I think actually what you're seeing is just SDS finally having an opportunity to be like, oh, we're benevolent. And they're like, yeah, you can use them. That's fine.
But speaking of, though, even look at the most recent Wars of Chaos things, the Red Corsairs from the Siege of Rax, Bad Ab Wars campaign. That was a Forge World SDS thing. So you're seeing the main studio, which has for a long time gone away from like plasticizing old 40K kits that were made in Forge World resin and stuff. They've just been creating new things. But now now they're taking IP that was developed in sort of the Forge World SDS thing and making it for 40K in the Red Corsairs, which they kind of stopped doing that for a long time. So I don't know. Again, if they view the AOS versus Old World thing as just too close, too competitive, to have them as complementary, and that they want to have them as two separate things. Or if we are seeing them already as sort of from a leadership perspective, already realizing, oh, wait a minute, cutting these systems in half, having them completely separate from one another is a bit of a dumb anti-consumer move, and makes our customers feel like we're idiots and we think that our customers are idiots. So like maybe there's something nice to be read into that, and I'm just hopeful.
Well, we'll find out during the FAQ, and let us know what you're hopeful for in the comments below. Thanks for watching. As always, give us feedback, give us thoughts, and as soon as there's any good news, we will be here to share it with you. Thanks, everyone, to Mr. Val Heffelfinger, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Rob Symes.
Goodbye. Goodbye.